Welcome back, everybody. It is January 6th, 2026. It's about 10 a.m. in the morning. It's Tuesday. Hope everybody had a safe and wonderful holiday. It's time to jump back into these charts and really start to understand what is going on. All right, so let's jump in. So I made a video not too long ago, and we were in this. So, whoa, what is that? That is crazy. Who did that? Who did that? We were in this section right over here. And what I was saying is that I was hoping that we, start to bounce around and start to head up in this direction. And I also explained that I was in a long for quite some time. So let's kind of go over that stuff and kind of see what the market is really doing. So let's zoom in here. Am I on the Binance chart here? Yeah, I'm on the Binance chart. So we'll switch over and talk about the details in a second. But first of all, I was in, I believe this was my long that I was in. I actually started, yeah, I believe I started back here sometime. And actually my stop loss was down here. It was actually down here. So we rode through it, all during this holiday for a very, very long time. The market was really hard to understand what was going on because there was a lot of manipulation in there. I was pointing out all of these wicks and talking about how exactly it was working. But one thing that I did notice that actually kept me inside of the long was that we were starting to coil up. And what I mean by that is we started to get really tight over here, really tight. And if you look at like some of these other sections, for example, we're kind of loose, like we're popping around and, we've got some swings down, we got some swing up, and then like kind of the chart is actually moving. But we really did kind of coil and make this really tight area right here. And usually when it's tightening up, it's getting prepared for a big move. Now, the reason why I thought it was going to head up, honestly, is because it felt like whatever was moving the charts, right? Whatever manipulation was going on, it feels like to me that they were trying to condition you that it was going to go down, because there are a lot of people who believe that we are going to hit this mark over here, the 70, around the 75,000 mark, and it very well might happen. Okay, but when people are starting to think that like in football, the guy's going to go left, well, you have to go right. So this felt like, honestly, we were kind of getting conditioned that, yeah, we're moving down. Huge spikes, we're moving down, we're being held down all the way around. And we've actually tapped this section quite a bit. So let's jump into the detail here. Let me go over to the Bybit chart because we got a little bit more. Now, they look very similar. Okay, but you can see here, actually, there's my long right there. Yeah, and this was actually my stop. It was pretty wide. It was low leverage. That was my stop. So I felt like, holding it throughout here just kind of worked for me. And it was okay. Like I didn't feel like I was losing anything as long as we were on this 50% line, right? So I actually took the drawdown and held. And yeah, as soon as it got back over into this section here, I took profit. I also took some profit over here. And I believe I believe this whole trade here is I got 50% profit on it. So far. And it feels really good. Because it's a good gain. Now I could have gotten down here. I could have waited down there and maybe even DCA'd in and got a bigger thing, but because it was uncertain over here, I tried to preserve some capital. So I'm pretty satisfied with what I made there. Now, I've mentioned this before. We stay in the range unless being told otherwise, right? Until we break the range and retest the range, we are still in the range. So it's not surprising to me that we've gotten over into this section because you notice here's the top here, a top here. And we're getting a little bit of a rejection over here. Okay, but what I'm feeling is that everyone thinks it's going down, so why not move the chart up? So what I'm looking for is I'm actually looking for it to kind of grab on here somewhere. Maybe even just, kind of struggle over here. And I am actually looking for it to really take out this section right here and possibly touch this 50% line. And at most, if it gets really bullish, come up here and kind of take this out right over here, okay? Because this is actually the next order block that it needs to go to. And notice that I kind of marked out the top. This is the top of that order block. And this is actually the bottom of the order block for this range. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for it to kind of try to work its way into the zone, and it'll start to get people bullish. Okay, again, creating kind of a narrative of like everybody needs to go in. So we are now breaking this range right here. And the reason why I say we're breaking it is because we've got a candle that's actually closed on the 12-hour above in these wick areas. So if you look right here, this break of structure that I drew, there's a bunch of wicks, but this one in particular is actually held over top. So if it comes down at least over here, maybe it can find some strength and kind of work its way up. So that's what I'm looking for. On the other hand, remember, we are still in the range. So getting a short in this area does make sense to me as well, right? Because if we start to move down, it could be possible that we actually come back and we tap this area right here, build some strength and work our way up. To take some profit, whoever has been moving the chart up, they take their profit. We can move down into the section, kind of re-tapping this zone of resistance and kind of make some support. So that's what I'm thinking right now. So again, I'm in a long, so far so good. I haven't taken a short yet. I have no reason to take a short yet. I mentioned before that I'm not interested in shorts at this point because we had this huge travel down. Now there's some other things that I've been looking at. One, we've broken this range, right? This channel that it's been in for some time. So let me zoom out a little bit. We've broken this right here. So all of this right here is now basically a big change of character, right? And if we do break this range at the top, then this really is confirmed that there's a change of character, because now we're actually changing the market structure. We are getting out of this range that we've been stuck in for quite some time, and we're actually starting to transition into a new area, right? And that new area just might be over here, right? Above the 50% line. So that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm hoping for. On the other hand, everything you do in crypto or in the markets, you need two plans, right? And while I'm talking about the upside, because that's what I'm feeling, I've been bullish this whole time because of all of this drop that we had going into the holidays. The second plan I've laid out earlier, which is over in this section right over here. So if we do start to go down into the section, I would be looking for a long again. And this actually would be a very heavy long. Now, one thing that you got to keep in mind, and I'm going to move on after this, is that we do not need to go straight up. Okay, we can come here and then come back down here, test, and then work our way back up. We could totally do that. And if you don't believe me, I mean, obviously, like look at the way this chart works. I mean, this is a range, right? So if we're looking at a range, you could see the characteristics of the range. We've gone up, we've gone down, we've gone up, we've tested these, the golden pocket, which this is the golden pocket, this line right over here. We've gone up, we've come back down over here, we've recovered. I mean, like it's a ping pong thing. And usually, when we get to a certain area of resistance, there's a hard push down. So if we come over here and this, let's just say this is the resistance, then we can get a harsh push down, right? And then work our way back up. So really, there's a lot of things that can go on here. But right now, I'm not looking at the bigger picture. I'm only looking at where we are right now, which is we are in this range. And it looks like we are starting to maybe possibly consolidate above the range. And if that's so, then definitely we're looking at an up move, right? If we do come back down into the range, then again, this becomes high alert when we come down here, especially over in this section. So it all depends on what the market wants to do, especially the stock market, So let's go take a look over at Ethereum real quick. Ethereum has been running pretty rampant. Now, I'm sorry, my chart does look pretty messy over here because the chart has been moving pretty, it's had some big moves. But if I were to, let me switch these lines here. I'm going to switch this line for the dotted line right over here. And this was the small range that we were in. So this is what we're looking at. This is actually the range right over here. This is the range that we've been in. Now, we poked out once. So this is actually an area of attraction at this point. So we can come back up here and we could start to consolidate. Then maybe we can move up and kind of take out the liquidity that's hanging out in this zone right over here and work our way up to this 50% line. So, as above, so below, the kind of situation. As Bitcoin is moving up, Ethereum is trying to catch up to the chart. But it is making much bigger moves than Bitcoin. This is a pretty big move. So let's measure it real quick. Go from right here to right here. This is about a 12% move. And if we go to the 50% line from here, you're talking about a 16% move. So really, Ethereum is the attracting point, but the volatility in Ethereum is pretty heavy. Okay, so you got to be careful. If you've bought spot down here or over here, you're in a good area, really. And if we start to move up, you obviously know where my targets are. This is my first target for a short, possibly, or we're looking at the 50% line for a short. So this is the only time that I would be interested in a short. We'll see where it kind of goes from now. But I am in a long in here, and I have actually, I was holding on to this long. Here's my long. I was actually in a long right over here. I DCA'd in to move my position over here. This was actually my stop out right there. You can see I nearly got stopped out, but I held it for all of this time. And now over here, I've actually made 110% profit on that entry that I was in. And I was just being patient and, you know, kind of working it. My plan is that if I get stopped out over here, then this is my next zone that I'm looking for. So the bottom is still in play. Let's go take a look over at the S&P 500 real quick. I haven't looked at that. Let's see what's going on. Oh yeah, it looks like we're breaking our all-time high, or we're about to. So that's really good for crypto, for sure. And hopefully, you know, it could kind of catch up to what's going on. But I drew these lines here, this megaphone pattern. I drew this megaphone pattern, and so far, it's actually been respecting it. Megaphone patterns are, to me, probably the most unbelievable patterns, because to think that we are going to come over here and then go all the way down over here and then work our way back up here and then possibly go all the way back down over here, that's kind of crazy. But megaphone patterns do play out that way. The one thing that I could say is when you do start to notice a megaphone pattern, right? And the megaphone pattern looks like this. If you don't know, it looks like this. This is the resistance. This is the support, and everything goes on in the center just like this. If you start to notice a megaphone pattern, usually it becomes a bullish megaphone pattern if it's coming into the megaphone. If it's going the opposite way, then it ends up becoming a bearish kind of megaphone pattern, right? So you can see that right over here. We've gotten up and we're going over here. This is looking like a bullish structure. Now, the thing that I want to say about this megaphone pattern is the same thing with a range. You are going to find that in the middle is where it really kind of hangs out. And you can see over here, this is the middle. And it always returned back to the middle. It went over here, returned back, came back, and returned. So this kind of solidifies the fact that we've got this megaphone pattern that's working. So if that's the case, if this does break this, we are looking at this as being a target for resistance right now. Okay, so that's good. If we are, you know, still stuck in the megaphone pattern and being attracted to the middle, then this would be the target right over here again. Okay, so I don't know how the stock market is going to affect crypto. You know, in my last video, I was explaining that we've dehinged from the market while the market was going up, making its all-time high. We've been doing this thing over here, and honestly, we've been really conditioned at this point that the market's going down. Give me 1 second. So what I'm looking at now is just that. I'm looking at breaking the idea that we are being conditioned and work our way up, and yeah, kind of like go back to kind of recover where we were. So that's my plans for now. I hope they were clear. I am looking in this area over here for a short, possible short, and this area right here. Right now, I'm going to sit on my hands and ride my longs until my profit kind of goes out. If it does come down over here, I may add on to my long. Not really sure at this point. I just want to see the market kind of settle out. All right, guys, I'll create another video soon. And yeah, that's the update. Hope everybody's doing well. And if you are enjoying this content, please feel free to like and subscribe. Thanks.